So I don't know nothing about you. I'm gonna ask like I'm a tourist.
Okay, well,
Okay,
I got some key lime pie to sell you.
Yeah, you want to sell me some key lime pie?
You're a tourist,
I
right?
got some swampland. We're here with Noel, Paul, Stookey.
Nicely done.
I pronounced it correctly.
Everything, all three of them.
And me, the Soundman from Hell, which is memorable. Gary Eck, actually. We're playing video. We got this is theX 104.9. This will be a radio interview on our show, thexqs.com.
Cool.
This is the brand new album.
It is. Yeah.
It's yours, right?
2 years worth of work.
2 years worth of work.
Yeah, and some surprises. Because you start off in a studio, you think, that you're going to work with a band, and then...
next thing you know, it's you.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Well, you got more control over you than a band. you were with Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Well, it's always,
every time you try to get someone extra on the bus, there's another 15 minutes at the gas station, right?
It's always a trade-off as to whether the piece of information that you're trying to convey is better done from a vulnerable point of view, or whether it's to be presented.
Right.
And the band tends to present things,
and
the individual person is, kind of accessible to an audience. The choice of the tunes that got done presentable are really interesting, because one of them is a bossa nova with a big lush string background called "Cue the Moon," and the other is "America the Beautiful," which my wife says I was pretty audacious to write 2 new verses to it.
Oh, you added some verses? It means it.
Oh, it does.
It's been around a long time.
Well, it does, and the first, everybody loves the first verse, but when you get to the alabaster cities and the pilgrim's feet trotting and the things, it tends to stale up.
I haven't seen a pilgrim in a long time.
So did you notice at the Super Bowl when they did America the Beautiful, they did the first verse 3 times, because they didn't know about these.
I think education is in order, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We were interested in the one called The Connection, which will probably be one of my favorite songs, not hearing it yet. I think we'll be playing that on the radio quite often. I will put you into normal rotation, too, so you'll hear your stuff being played around Key West. Welcome to Key West. Let's start at the beginning again.
Sweet.
Welcome to Key West.
Yeah, who's the tourist here? Right?
Yeah, really. I feel like I just got off the boat. I caught you last year at the studios of Key West. You did a grand performance. Of course, I know who you are. Anyone near my age knows who you are, or have heard of you, or heard your songs.
Well, we've been around for a while.
And to see you play solo was phenomenal.
Oh,
because you were a total crowd pleaser, packed house.
Yeah,
but
that's a good crowd.
The surprise was to work with Melody Cooper in the morning at the Unity Church, and then rush over to help Danny run sound for what I thought was the Voices of Praise, a local, the black gospel group, and there you are again.
Yeah.
I go, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
I remember pinching myself like, this is so cool.
It was, because I think there were a lot of people there who don't,
one,
go to church, or two, would never go to a black gospel church.
That was the best of both worlds.
And it was everything.
Yeah. I remember going outside and walking around the building, and we were rocking that old armory, rocking the neighborhood. Everybody, and they were filing in. You could tell by the people, once you got up and rolling, they heard it and came. It wasn't the regular crowd.
Right, and we had bicycles hanging all over that day.
Oh, it's the bicycle art. Right.
That's right. That's right.
They dangled them up in the ceiling over your heads, and it was very precarious.
Yeah, Betty and I have been doing One Light, Many Candles, which is the name of that presentation, all over the United States for the past 2 or 3 years. We have a couple more coming up, one in Marathon, coming up soon on the 24th. Another one out in San Bernardino, California. And it's the closest thing I think that white churches come to a black gospel experience, even if only insofar as there's not that much contemporary music in a church service for the Congregationalists or the Episcopalians or the Methodists or to
be generic, in other words, right?
Yeah, well, this is the fact that Betty reads from multiplicity of spiritual disciplines, and that interspersed with every reading is a different piece of music to reflect upon. Whether it's the big picture you're thinking about the enormity of the gift we've been given called creation, or whether it's our lives are connected like facets of a jewel, or so it's when people leave. We've had them come. We've done it not in church, but like at the studio, and we've had people come up to us and say, "That was a wonderful service." No, wait.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
It was more like an enlightenment,
right? So I think a lot of people really enjoy the aha.
Yeah, I did. I came out there.
Oh, cool.
And I'd already been to the Unity Church Hour program doing the sound for them, so I'm pretty metaphysically high. Come see you, and left flying out the door. It was beautiful. Sweet. Well, we had to pack up some equipment for Danny, but that was fun. Every time I work with Dan, Dan Simpson is one of the best sound engineers.
Yeah. I think he's going to
not only for recording, but also for. Is he doing them?
We
didn't even talk about that. You're here for a gig. Well, no, you're here on vacation.
Yeah, that's true.
But through the art console, they slipped you a little gig, right?
Yeah.
A benefit.
Well, it's nice to be able to pay for your time.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to stay here for a month, it's going to cost you a little bit of money.
Well, well, where are you living now?
On the coast of Maine, where we have since 1971 with our 3 daughters, but they have flown now. One in Wilder, Vermont, one in Silver Spring, Maryland, the other in California.
Well, one flew far.
Yeah.
Most of them stayed around or within trailing distance.
But these modern days, Gary.
Yeah, it's nothing.
You get to see them maybe 4 times a year.
They have Facebook, they have internet.
Yeah, but it's not the same, and you get to see them maybe 4 times a year if you're lucky.
It's not so bad. Could be worse.
Yeah, and it could be in a worse climate than Key West.
You're in Key West. I mean, Maine in the winter, Key West vacation.
It's challenging.
Makes total sense.
It does, yes.
My parents were from Connecticut. I was born in Miami. I was lucky to come down here ever since I was a child, and and appreciate the island. Yeah. I never liked the one road in, one road out thing.
Oh, that made you nervous?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, at least it's a road.
And that was the old bridge, where the cars would touch each other when they went.
Yeah. Well, there's always the ferry to Cuba.
Yeah. Yeah, my parents did that a lot.
Did they?
They took the ferry to Cuba. I remember going there as a child.
I wish they'd open it up again. I suppose they will. You think so?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
There's no reason to have an embargo with Cuba, our closest neighbor.
Yeah.
And I'm interested, I know you've been, how do I say it, motivationally, politically active.
Yes, I usually...
Not just to sing songs about problems, but to get people to wake up and try to change things.
That's true. Folk music carries with it a kind of ethical imperative. And Mary, the way Mary used to put it, because she borrowed the phrase from me, if you're going to sing me, you have to live me. So, and ever since the awareness in the early 60s that music could talk to some community concerns, not just love ballads, which are nice every once in a while, but talk about problems that we face, or talk about problems that we don't want to discuss, the elephants in the living room, as it were.
Elephants in the closet.
Yeah. And so, and I think folk music has done that, and of course, anybody who stays in the folk music field, and Peter, Mary, and I would have celebrated our 50th a couple of years ago. So,
anniversary of playing.
Yeah, of being together. I don't know very many bands who are still intact, who still were intact.
It appears the Rolling Stones are.
Well, they lost a couple, as we have.
Yeah. Right. But it appears they're still the grandpas of rock and roll.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's another confusing issue, too. We were asked to be entered into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, and it just seems like a misnomer for us to be.
Because you weren't rock and rollers?
No. Well, no. If there was a popular music, maybe. Certainly, if there was a folk music, we would be honored to be included with those folks. But back to your original point. Yeah. Many of the issues on this new album of mine, One and Many, have political overtones. But the curious thing that I've been able to pull together in my life after 75 years is that there's a deeper politic that, there's one thing to call, Democratic or Republican. There's another thing to say conservative or liberal. There's another thing, even internationally, to talk about, socialism, communism, democracy. The fact is that I honestly believe that we all have a higher calling that represents itself personally in our lives. And that's the one we have to answer to. I call it the big L. You know, there's like the little L love that everybody shares.
The big love.
But the big L love.
Or like they call it here, one human family.
Or one human family.
Right.
That's a good expression of what the original intention was.
And you actually see it practiced on an island this small, that people help people. There are benefits and charities when someone's hurt or someone's lost work or the ability to pay their hospital bills. Someone jumps up and helps and does a rally, and the whole island comes together. And I love that. I love that. I came down for a lifetime video shoot for airbrushing girls for Fancy Fest. Never seen Fancy Fest. Seemed like a good idea. Got down here. Within, I think the next day, they ordered everyone out for Hurricane Wilma. And some of my musical friends here, I was staying at their house. They said, "Oh, you don't want to drive back to Miami through the traffic.
Hunker down here."
Yeah, hunker down with us. We'll be fine. It'll blow by. Well, it blew by, but it gave us 6 to 9 feet of water. And I lost my truck. I lost my camera. And I got stuck here. When I got back to Miami 2 weeks later, I realized they still didn't have electric. There were people shooting each other at gas stations. Here, people were giving us a bottle of rum because they couldn't get to the store to get money to chop a tree out of their backyard. This island's nice. People are nice here. What's that? What's wrong? What's wrong here? I'd look at Miami and I'd look at Key West and I'd grab more clothes and bring them down. And I kept slowly. It took about a year before I realized I'd moved to Key West.
You know, there's some similarities now that you mention it between Key West and Maine in that regard. And I wonder if it's not because we're at the end of the line.
Because you
don't go there.
The road.
You don't go there unless you want to. You're not passing through.
Yeah, we're actually at the beginning of the road. You're at the end. If you do the mile zero thing properly, you know.
Yes, I believe in the mile zero. Yes.
So that's very cool. Yeah. Well, I'd like you to play a song, but I want to know what was the atmosphere then when you were in Peter, Paul, and Mary? How'd you first meet each other and hook up? Like, where was the mentality of the three of you saying, "Hey, we could go out on the road," and you know?
I think that mentality lay in the brain of Albert Grossman, a fourth entity, if you will, of the trio. He was Peter's personal manager, and he knew of Mary because she had sung with Pete Seeger in the Almanac Singers.
Right.
And he knew of me because I was a regular in the village in the early 60s as a master of ceremonies, actually, as much as...
So you weren't performing as much as you were, like, bringing on the bands? Or
yeah, well, no, I was... No. It was... listen, we were well understaffed. You know?
So everybody had to do everything. You're running the lights.
Exactly, I was very glad. I was seating people.
Their drink orders. Right.
Almost. Yeah, you add a couple of rounds of poker upstairs to that, and it was a very full evening. Yeah. So, I was a master of ceremonies, a comedian, and a singer. And into that, Mary came because she lived across the street. And I worked out a song called Single Girl for her to perform. And she had a nice voice and a daughter. And she estranged from her husband. And then
she
Peter.
needed the money. Right?
No. I think she just enjoyed music.
She just enjoyed singing.
Yeah, and she was a village regular because she lived there. Tom Paxton and I became roommates. Then Peter Yarrow arrived in town. He's had a beautiful tenor voice, was managed as a solo by Albert Grossman, who wanted to put together a trio. And I never sat down and asked Albert what his vision for a trio was. But I suspect he wanted some sexy lady. You know, he looked at the Kingston Trio and he said, "That's not folk music. You know, those are a bunch of college boys having fun." Yeah. He said, there's an ethic to this music, and he looked at Mary's association with Pete Seeger and Peter's association with the Jewish group he was traveling with, and
then there was you.
Yeah, and then I think he said, "But we need some lightness, so
we need a comedian.
We need a goof.
We need a comedian."
And
that became your part.
As Dylan said in the liner note that he wrote for us, Bobby Dylan wrote, "The Toilet Man joined the group," because I could do this great imitation of a what I call the American Standard, and. I would do an American Standard. And oddly enough, Gary, over the course of 50 years with the trio, everybody changed. Peter was so solemn, so serious. He used to drive Mary crazy. And Mary never talked because she was Mystique and she was tongue-tied and terrified. And I was the, the goof off and the relaxed. I was the Bing Crosby of the group, right? Yeah. Then Peter has a child. I get a spiritual conversion. Mary says, "What do you mean I can't talk?" after 10 years. So now everything shifts slightly. Now Peter's a total goofball on stage because he's got kids.
Have realized
Totally.
He's playing with his kids.
I'm totally dedicated
and
to changing the world. I'm the straight guy. I'm not quite an evangelical Christian, but I'm pretty committed to people's spiritual place. Yeah, and Mary's beginning to talk all the time.
Too.
At the end of the 50 years together, Mary was the comedian. Flat out comedian. Knock us out. She'd come out she'd come out and she'd say, "Hey, I don't know about this technology." She said, "Do you remember a time when the telephone was big and black, sat in the hall, and you never had to ask anybody where it was?"
Yeah.
And everybody cracks up.
And you dialed the number.
Totally. Right? And then...
Actually, you remembered the numbers by the way they were on the dial.
Well, there were only, There were 7 of them, and everybody had the same 3 first ones. Right. And then, constantly in flux was the trio.
And that's why they had the longevity they had like that.
I think we did.
We still do.
I think
I've heard punk rocks cover songs that you guys wrote.
I know what you mean. Well, Sting did a solo. And I think people still enjoyed our concerts because even though they were pretty sure they were going to hear some familiar tunes, they also knew they were going to hear some brand new ones because we never got on stage sleeping. Right. We were always cultivating new talent, whether it was Gordon Lightfoot or John Denver in those days, or whether it was John Gorka in these days, or Cheryl Wheeler, or we were always reaching to find out, who was writing the cutting edge stuff. But it had to have some meaning and content to it. I heard a song driving out to the golf course to play today. They must have repeated one phrase, like "it's not going to last," or "oh no, it's I don't know, I hope you find what you're looking for."
Over and over.
So
there's a lack of lyric content from you.
Yeah, because feel will only get you so far.
Right.
Emotional.
Right. I'd rather hear an instrumental if it's going to go that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I did at one point in my life, and I bet you did too, now that you mentioned that you're connected spiritually. I did think, okay, maybe I'm judging a little too harshly. Maybe it's a mantra. Maybe those 3 words are a mantra and you just repeat it over and over again. And you get zones.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking, no, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I don't play hip hop on my show. If you're trying to ask what kind of music we do, it's a mixture of Key West, the conk rock, the trop rock, because you have to, reggae, folk music, blues, rock, classic rock. I'll go into Zeppelin. I'll go into the old stuff. But in the whole, now that I've been there about 3 months, the whole set list at the radio station has changed and evolved into taking songs from people we know and putting them into the mix.
And what about Broadway? Because I know that part of
I don't do show tunes.
You don't? No. Because that's part of the.
I got nothing against gay people. They can come on the show. They can promote anything they want. We just don't do show tunes.
Because I know
there's no ballad in it.
There's no ballad.
There's no validation in it. Okay, we got phones ringing.
Well, it's good. People calling in for requests.
We're going to have a lot of requests tonight. I have a request. I would like to hear your favorite old song. And I would like to hear your favorite new song.
Well, I'm not sure that I'd be qualified to do either of those. Favorite old songs? Probably Mondlach.
Oh, that you cover, or the Road, or whatever. But just whatever comes to mind. One from the blast from the past, the kids would say, right?
Well, I probably need a capo if I was going to.
Do we have a capo? We have a tune.
Ain't no use to sit and wonder why. To sin why, babe. If you long, got you in my hand. I'll be gone. You're the reason I'm moving on, but don't think twice, it's alright. No use in calling out my name like you never did before. And it ain't no use in calling out my name, girl. I can't hear you anymore. I'm thinking that way down the road I once loved a child told. I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. Don't think twice, it's alright.
Little Dylan there.
Little Dylan.
That was beautiful. Yay. The crowd goes wild. Look at them outside the window all applauding. Hey, okay, now something,
Oh, well, I'll give you
something modern.
Spacious skies for amber waves of green, for purple mountain majesty above a fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee. Crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Nation of the immigrant and of the native son, whose loyal families labor still, that we may live as one. America, America, renew thy founders' code, and let liberty and justice be the right of one and bountiful forest green of lake and fruitlands, where seeds of hope are tended by thy sons and daughters' hands. America, America, the earth still calls to thee, where human life and nature strive to live in harmony. All right, come on, Gary. Now sound. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains majesties above the fruited plain. Come on, brother. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Nice. the note better than I do.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, I've never sang on YouTube in my life. I've been on a few albums where nobody could figure out the chorus. But to sing with you, I think that's the high point of my career.
So did you see the lyrics? And didn't
they
they feel right?
They slip right in there.
Absolutely.
Okay, I am on the mission with you
Yeah.
to make that America the Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Replace all the others.
I
don't know if it's better when you come on stage to do that song first or do it at the end. It could go either way.
It's great.
It's a crowd. It's a closer. It's an opener. It could go either way, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I really love the combining of the Native American and the immigrant. You know, I mean,
If it wasn't for
blessed
them,
are
it
the
wouldn't be
peacemakers. You know.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of discussion over borders and this and that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about Mexico as much as I'd worry about Canada. I'm sorry. If you want to worry about the borders, worry about all the borders. Don't be, picking on the one side or the other.
Yeah.
Or vegetables come from Mexico. Or lumber comes from Canada. And they drive slow here. Anyway, this album's phenomenal. I can't wait to hear it and play it on the show.
Great.
I want to let you do shameless plugs. You're here. You're doing a benefit.
I'm doing a
Saturday
benefit for the Keys Arts at Casa Antigua, and I think that's like a 6 o'clock thing. And
it's right by the Pelican Poop Store over here, Simonton.
Casa Antigua.
Casa Antigua, with our friend
Tom
Oosterhoff from Konkala.
Yes, and then I'm going up to Tampa to do a kind of a retro show with John McEwen.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah, and then a solo house concert and play a little golf up there.
House concerts are cool, aren't they?
I don't know. I have never really.
It's a new insurgence. The trop rock people start doing it because you can get 30, 40, 50, 100 of your friends in a backyard or a living room.
Yeah.
And charge them all a few bucks, and it's way low budget because there's no overhead.
That's right.
Small PA, a little bit of food, a little bit of drinking, and they always help.
And also you get to pass a critical test with your material.
Kind of like the street musicians here. Have you noticed them?
Oh, man.
They feel that, you play the regular stuff that people dance and throw money in your bucket, but you can try an original on them. And you find out right then and there what they like or don't like. It's like the immediate reading, meter. Like, oh, they didn't like that phrase. Well, let me turn it down a little. Let me speed
But
it down.
down here, in Key West, I hear an awful lot of Elvis impersonators too. So.
Oh, you're going to the wrong bars.
I think so.
You should hang out with me more.
All right.
Oh man, so shameless plugs for yourself. How do they find you? You have a .com address?
I do. It's no surprise, noelpaulstookey.com.
And the name is spelled STOO.
OKEY.
Yeah.
Sounds like an advertisement almost.
You could be.
And then my daughter and I have taken music for social change to a kind of an interesting Wikipedia level. We've begun a website called Music2Life, Music2Life.org, where you either by cause or by artist, you can look up that which you are interested in, be it the environmental issues or whether it's homelessness or whether it's
So it's like a research site.
It is.
It brings you right to the artists and their links. And
yes, it does.
Direct contact to their
and
music.
invites you to contribute.
Oh, like
those
Wikipedia
people
does,
exactly
to edit and change. And
That's
add.
right.
Oh.
And
Genius.
so we're doing it in schools. We're doing the program kind of reintroducing students to the legacy of America's music for social change. We did it in conjunction with celebrating Woody's 100th this past year. And
Woody Guthrie.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Woody Guthrie. That's
These
right.
kids are young. They don't know these things.
You attract such a young audience.
We got to educate them.
Yeah.
Just young girls. And you're 75 years old, you mentioned earlier.
I guess,
Do you feel it?
No.
You feel like 30-something?
No, I've been very fortunate.
Yeah, you look
I
healthy.
have
You sound great.
I had one broken leg, at one point in my life.
That's not bad.
That's
You don't play softball anymore.
I do slowly.
Yeah. Well, you look great, and you sound as wonderful as I think you ever have, especially as good as you did last year. So I'm looking forward to. I unfortunately have a show, so this is pre-recorded. I'm not trying to trick anybody here, but it's the only way we could get them on the radio. Not that you wouldn't have done it.
Because you have a Saturday night show.
Yeah, well, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you're busy every night. But
that's true.
But I love that Saturday. It's gonna be a blast. It's a great place.
Yeah.
I was just at a Christmas party there. Have you seen it?
Oh yes, Tom took us on a 2 or 3. Yeah.
Little pond and
Yeah. I'm also looking forward to working with the high school kids, like I did last year as well. Yeah. And they're going to take One and Many, the song, and reinterpret it. It has some. There's 2 One and Manys here. One is the opening tune that says it's got a great.
Yeah,
it goes. We live in the same house.
That's nice.
On different floors, and I got my window, and you got yours. We each got a door that leads to the hall, but the rooms are so cozy, and the door is so small. One flame, many candles, one sky, many stars, one sea, many rivers, one love, and so many hearts. And then there's it's pretty, kind of a meditative version of the same song that goes like this. It's called The Reprise. Many candles, one sky, many stars, one sea, many rivers, one love, many hearts. So the kids at the high school are looking into the various verses of that, which also says, one world, many forests, one forest, many trees, one tree, many branches, one branch, many leaves. The introduction that we are all connected,
intertwined.
And from a single source.
Like an esoteric Buddhism.
Yeah, I think it is. And so to see dancers move to this,
to portray it very cool.
and to do art. What is that one room that we live in? What is that one house we live in? And what does our room look like? And what are those windows? And what do we?
So they're kind of cross-referencing your.
Yeah, and that's all. I mean, that's always such a gas for an artist.
So you're getting the kids into the music, keep them.
Well, that's part of that's part of what the Keys Arts does. You know Liz?
Yeah, Liz is great.
Yeah.
So who are your favorite people at the Keys Arts Council?
Well, let's see. I mean, it's Liz's.
Liz, it's all Liz.
Well, Shannon helped me get to the parking lot the other day, so she's a favorite person.
You know Joe Del Robbins?
No, but I just met Joe Garcia.
Joe Garcia is good down there too.
Yeah.
It's a great crew. They do. I mean, look at Key West. There's art, music, historic for writing. Besides the Pirates and the other scallywags.
You mean the Ernest Hemingway?
Ernest Hemingway, Truman Capote. I mean, they've always come and hid here to write.
Yeah.
But I think there's a metaphysical connection, not only because songwriters come here and get so inspired, like their brains are flooded with information, and I think there's something to gather from the earth. It's not just coconuts and avocados and mangoes.
Right.
There's some other energy coming out of this place.
There's an essential. There is a spirit down here. In Maine, the spirit is more. I don't want to flatter us by saying sublime, but it is spare. So the solitude is ever present in Maine. Right. There are only 1 million of us in the entire state, So when we see each other or have a chance to do a benefit, it's exciting.
Oh, it's a big event.
It's a big event. Yeah. And so it also draws artists like Stephen King, who makes his home there. And
that other one you did, the first part of the One and Many, it feels like a John Sebastian song.
Oh yeah.
It's just like kind of upbeat. And the hallway,
kind of swingy.
You're in your room, and not like Welcome Back, Kotter, but no, similar to that.
Yeah, and good. I think you'll enjoy the album.
I know I will already. I enjoy it. Just to meet you again.
Yeah,
and,
you too, Gary.
Face to face, shake your hand. It's really great.
Thank you.
We should end this interview before we get all teary-eyed and stuff. Or I do. So,
All right. Peace.
I don't know what else to say, but
No.
world peace. If you got a message, tell it to them out there.
Yeah, well, hopefully the big L love will guide you and you'll express it in small L loves and make the world a better place. We're all trying our best.
There you go. Words of wisdom from Mr. Noel Paul Stookey. I got it right twice. All right. Thank you, Bernard.